Monster Hunter has finally arrived on the Nintendo Switch. And what's more, it's Monster Hunter Double Cross, making this the first time that Monster Hunter players outside of Japan have been able to play Double Cross on a non-Japanese console. There are some pretty big caveats to that statement, which I'll get to, but at its core, it's true. First, an explanation of which Monster Hunter game this is. Monster Hunter games almost always release with a new entry and then a souped-up deluxe version down the line. We had the third entry, Monster Hunter Tri, on the Wii, then Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate released on the Wii U and 3DS, Monster Hunter 4, and then Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Monster Hunter Double Cross is the Japan-only Ultimate release of 2016's Monster Hunter Cross, which was known as Monster Hunter Generations in the West. Keeping up? For the uninitiated, Monster Hunter is an action role-playing game with loot at its core. Players will hunt monsters, harvest resources, and earn quest rewards to gain loot, which they'll use to make new weapons and armour, letting them hunt even bigger and more dangerous monsters. Loot can take the form of skins and body parts of monsters. It could be pieces of rock and minerals that the player mines from the environment. There are hundreds and hundreds of different types of loot, and every weapon and armour will require a different recipe to craft. Looting a monster for a specific material is rarely as simple as killing it and carving up the body. A lot of materials will require a specific body part to be targeted. Maybe you need to cut off a Rathian's tail with a cutting weapon like the greatsword. Sometimes you'll need to smash them in the head with a giant hammer to break their horns. Often you'll need to leap onto the monster's back and mount them. The hunts are dynamic, thrilling, and involve every step of the way. Part of what makes the hunts exciting, and what gives Monster Hunter its long legs that will keep you playing for hundreds and hundreds of hours, is the customization of your character. For starters, the game features 14 different weapons for you to learn. And when I say learn, I mean it. The difference between the longsword and the lance is less like swinging a fast or slow weapon in Skyrim, and more like learning a new character in Street Fighter. Each weapon brings new strategies, combos and moves. Run into a fight not knowing how to properly weld the charge blade or the heavy bowgun, and you'll get your ass handed to you by a big monster. Learning the sword and shield or the fast dual blade seems simple enough. But what about the hunting horn, which is basically a cross between a massive club and Link's ocarina from Ocarina of Time? Hitting different combos in a fight will charge up a tune, and then when the time is right, you can play the song to give area of effect buffs to you and your teammates. You'll be hitting the monster with certain hits, not because they're heavy or quick attacks, but because you're trying to queue up a healing song, or one that'll speed you up. What about the switch axe, which can transform from a heavy two-handed axe to a quicker sword in the middle of a fight? You'll choose a weapon and you'll learn it. You'll probably stick with it for 20 or 30 hours, crafting new versions of it with elemental damages and slots for upgrades. But there are always more weapon styles to learn. I've never ever used range weapons in Monster Hunter. I've played the game for hundreds of hours, and I just don't know how the bows or gun lance work in the game, but I can't wait to find out. Now, to get back to the caveats about playing this on your Switch. Double Cross only has a Japan release at the moment, and with no Western release on the horizon, we're left importing Double Cross from Japan, or downloading it from the Japanese eShop. Hooray for region-free consoles! But there are more difficulties. The game is, of course, not localized. That means that all text, including menus, stores, quest givers, item names and descriptions, etc., are in Japanese. Monster Hunter games are dense, and they absolutely fully require you to read and to be able to navigate deep menus. Using a translation app such as Google Translate on your phone will sometimes get you most of the way there, but when I play Double Cross, I'm basically working on memory of what options are what and what the missions are asking of me. I've played Monster Hunter Generations, so I know who the blacksmith is, and I know who the wandering salesman is without having to read anything. I know when I open my item chest which menu item lets me combine items to craft potions. If you've got a good grasp of reading Japanese katakana, you'll have a head start here, but learning the systems and mechanics of the game are difficult enough in English, never mind in a foreign language. There's a reason that Monster Hunter has struggled to take off in the West, even with English localized releases. The games are complicated, and the learning curve to just knowing what you're supposed to be doing is really tough. Without going on and on about this, and potentially just putting you off from ever trying a Monster Hunter game, I'll say this. If you've never touched a Monster Hunter game, or if you've tried them before but not put in hundreds of hours, give Double Cross a miss. Go and pick up Generations or 4 Ultimate on the 3DS, or better yet, wait for next year's Monster Hunter World on the PS4 and Xbox One. If you're a Monster Hunter veteran and you know your way around a Rathalos shell and a quality sponge, consider upgrading to the definitive version of the game in beautiful HD on your telly. It's honestly amazing to play this with a Pro controller on a big screen rather than wrestling with my little 3DS in a Circle Pad Pro grip. So Monster Hunter Double Cross is a difficult one. For Monster Hunter fans, this is absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that I can finally play Double Cross without importing a Japanese 3DS. I'm so happy that I can play it in high definition with a very, very good controller. But I just can't recommend it to new players unless you have a very, very good grasp of reading Japanese. If you don't, Double Cross will probably be your first and last Monster Hunter game, and it deserves you giving it a proper shot.